Hello, Lucy here. Just a reminder to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Whether you're new here or a regular listener, thank you for being part of this journey. We have got so many incredible guests lined up, so stay tuned and subscribe now.
I go off at a tangent. When I was reading these questions, I was like, oh, for God's sake, it's going to take me forever.
We've got an hour, Emily. Have you ever felt stuck in a career that just doesn't feel right? Or wondered what it takes to make a bold leap into something completely new? Well, today we're joined by Emily Laban, a true Jill of all trades who's turned her passion into a new career. Emily was training to become a solicitor, specialising in commercial property, but the relentless grind combined with studying and earning just above minimum wage left her feeling out of balance and completely disconnected from her family. So, what did she do? Well, she took the brave leap in January this year to focus solely on her side hustle, property development. In just 6 months, Emily has completed her first solo project and is knee-deep in her second. In this episode, we explore Emily's decision to take the road less travelled, the challenges and the triumphs of changing careers, and how she balances multiple roles and responsibilities. Emily also opens up about her experience with imposter syndrome, the creative process behind designing homes, and maintaining her ambitions while keeping family at the heart of it all. It was a pleasure talking to Emily, and I can't wait for you to listen to the episode. So, let's get to it. Do you want to explain a little bit about what you were doing before, and then you've kind of decided to take that road less travelled and pursue property development, see if you can make that the side hustle the main hustle, which I love.
So I basically have done so many different jobs, and I think it's because I never really I'm very much a black and white person. Like, I'm all or nothing, and I can start off and be like, my head's fully in it, and I'm like, yeah, I love this, and then I get to the point where I'm like, oh, bored now. And so I did criminology as my undergrad and absolutely loved it. Still love that kind of thing now. But I really struggled to get work in that field. So I kind of dabbled, did a few different things. And then what I always really wanted to do, but basically didn't have the balls to do it, was law. And mainly because I was predominantly interested in crime and not all the other areas of law. And you have to study everything, all the subjects. And so it took until after I had my youngest to basically be like, I was on maternity. I took about 6 weeks off and then kind of went back to work, because at the time I was working for my husband's property practice. And I basically watched Suits from start to finish. The series, if I don't know if you've seen it, but
Yeah, I have seen it, yeah.
And I watched Suits and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And so for my husband, he was like, well, I know you've always wanted to do it, so, you know, I'll support you if that's what you want to do. Anyway, so I carried on working. I did it part-time, and I did my law degree, and yeah, that about killed me, but I did it. And at the same time, whilst I was in my second year, I got work at a law firm. And because that was the idea anyway, obviously I wanted to go and work in that, but it was tough doing both, studying and working. Anyway, so I went and worked there, and I was working in commercial property, and I've got, you know, my husband is a commercial property surveyor, so he's got his practice. So I'd been working there anyway. So I've kind of got my fingers in those pies already. And yeah, I went and worked there and I really enjoyed it. And it was great. But I just found that after I did my degree, I worked there for just over 2 years. And then I needed to study for another 2 years to become qualified. And I just found that I kind of went to the whole, right, the goal was this, to be a solicitor. And I kind of worked back from that. And I was like, okay, what does my life look like as a solicitor? And I found that I was really, really stressed in that job, like to the point where I felt ill. And I thought, you know, well, something's got to change. And like I say, the property stuff was always the side hustle. We'd been doing that for kind of 10 years plus, side of our full-time work. And it kind of got to the point where we said, okay, well, we need to decide whether we want to grow this and do more of it, or we want to kind of just leave it as it is and it can just like carry
Tick
on.
along in the background.
Yeah. And because I was at a point where I wasn't happy in my work, you know, work-life balance was a huge thing for me. I felt ultra stressed. I wasn't sure that the goal at the end of it was any more what I wanted. And money as well. Like, I was earning probably just above minimum wage for that job. And you kind of get to the point where you think, okay, I'm 34. I earn less now than I earned 10 years ago. Something's not right here. And, property can be profitable and lucrative. And I just thought, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And my husband's the main breadwinner, so he couldn't just go, and he's got his own practice, so he can't, with his business partner, so he can't just go, see you later, I'm going to focus on my own stuff. So yeah.
You were supported. I think that's a key thing. And I think as creatives, often we kind of look to the people around us in our network, in our family, in our, in our friendship groups. And we need that validation maybe to say, do you know what? I'm going to be right here with you to support you in doing this. And the other thing was that you talked a little bit about sort of like the end goal and you realizing that the life that you thought you wanted actually wasn't aligned with how you were feeling when you made this change.
And I feel like I've always been a bit like that, where I've set off on a path and then I've gone, this is what I want anymore. And I find myself very frustrating in that, because I go all guns blazing, then I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's what I want anymore. And it is really annoying. I annoy myself with it. And especially after putting 2 years really hard graft into a law degree. And then, but I think there's also like a strength in being able to turn around and go, you know what, that isn't for me anymore. And that isn't what I want. And that isn't going to make me happy. And, I think it would have been a much harder, bigger decision if I was earning the big bucks, because it would have been like, okay, well, our whole lifestyle is going to change because we rely on that, and I really admire these people who just go, you know what, sod it, I'm going to do it. And they're out on a limb with, no financial backing. That's a massive decision. Whereas we were in a position where what I was losing from my legal role financially wasn't that much. So we were able to kind of do that and it not be disastrous, basically.
When you made that decision, I'm already going off piste. When you made that decision to hand your resignation in,
Yeah.
what was going through your mind?
Well, I handed my resignation in twice, actually. I handed it in once.
It wasn't enough to do it once.
No, obviously not. I handed it in once and they managed to convince me to stay part-time, because one of the big reasons, I was really honest, and I think that is one of the most important things to me, is honesty and being authentic. And I can't not do that. I find it really difficult, which sometimes gets me in trouble. But I basically said to my boss, look, I've got no work-life balance. I'm not happy. I feel really stressed. My main role in life is being a mum, and I've got 2 young kids, and I want to be able to take them to school. I want to be able to pick them up from school. And that's really, really hard. The juggle of being a mum and doing anything else,
Yeah.
is so hard.
I managed to wash my hair today.
Well, we have no water pressure at home, so I have to go to, it sounds so bougie, but I actually go to the hairdressers to get my hair washed once a week, because I literally can't wash my hair at home.
Oh my gosh, I love that. What an excuse. I'm so sorry, I've got no hot water. Your hair looks gorgeous, by the way. I love it. You've had it blonde.
I know, this is another thing. I can't stick to my hair colour either, so I just, so I basically said to him, look, I want a work-life balance, and at the moment, and I felt really guilty, because I was part of a team of people who I really, really loved, all of them. And I had such a laugh at work. I really enjoyed it. Like, I did hybrid working, so I'd work half the week from home and half the week in the office. But I used to actually look forward to going in the office. And I know a lot of people don't like that. Like they could just work from home and they would love that. But I loved it. And the dynamic and the people, and they were all really interesting. So I also felt guilty because I know how pressured that team was that I worked in. And I knew, not blowing my own trumpet, but I knew that I had a big caseload, and I knew that that had to be split between all the people that were there. And so that meant their caseload goes up as well. So yeah, I felt guilty from that perspective. I felt nervous because they did give me a lot of opportunities. They were backing me as well to do my qualification. It's through an apprenticeship, so they have to give you a day off to do that a week, and that's what I'd started doing. So yeah, I felt guilt, definitely. But I also felt this sense of, when I first handed my notice in and I went part-time, I also felt a sense of relief, because it was like, oh, I never even thought to ask actually about going part-time, and I really appreciate that as an offer. So I did that, and then it worked to a point, but I think a job share, which is how it kind of worked, in a legal setting is very, very difficult. And so I handed my notice in the second time after Christmas, and then I left at the end of Jan.
What sort of things are you thinking about straight away? Like, for anyone who's maybe thinking about going into property development, what are the sort of things that you're looking for and seeing as priority?
So me and my husband have always joked that basically, unless a property has an avocado bathroom, like an old avocado bathroom, not interested. Like, it needs to have things that we can rip out and go, God, that's ugly. Like, there was a property we were looking at buying earlier on in the year, and as a buy-to-let, and we were like, okay, price point, it's all right. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It will rent straight away. But we didn't need to do anything. And we were both like, it's a bit boring. Like, there's nothing to rip out. There's nothing to replace. There's nothing to... So we ended up not buying it on that basis. I look for... I look for that. Like, I want it to be bad. I want it to need everything gutting. There's gutting and there's gutting. So project 1 that I finished last month, that was a bit more of like a titivating kind of job. Like, yes, there were bigger things that needed doing, but there was nothing structural. And it was all just, the bathroom was fine. The kitchen needed ripping out. We took that out. The carpets were horrendous, like things like that. But that was, mainly decorative kind of thing. Whereas project 2 has, it's
Are you still on project 2 now?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that is all coming together now. So we have done, I don't even know. I think I put a post up about what we've done so far, like a progress post. And basically I said it's like Trigger's broom. Like, if anyone gets that Only Fools and Horses analogy, where basically he's got nothing left, he's just changed the handle and the head over and over again. Because we have ripped everything out, and we've done structural changes as well. And for ages it just looked like a brick shell, and I was like, oh my God, when is this going to come together? But now we're at a point where the guys working on site, every time I go, I'm almost like, I don't want to go, because every time I go, they're like, we need this, Emily, you need to decide on this. And I'm like, oh my God, just slow down. Because all of a sudden then it just comes together. Which is when the creative side of it comes in, though, because, I'm not an electrician, I'm not a plumber, I'm not a joiner. And quite frankly, just tell me what you need. And basically they send me a list and they'll go, right, we need all of these electrical supplies. I'll go, right. So I go toddle off down to the electrical suppliers and I go, can you just give me this? And just show them the list. Because and I went the other day and they were like, does he mean this? And I was like, I don't know. What are you asking me for? I haven't got a clue.
I've just got the list.
Yeah, but I do want to learn those things.
Of course you do, yeah.
They are specialisms, that's
Yes.
not why my thing is project managing it, making sure things are being done, and then the design side of it, really. That's the enjoyable bit.
Yeah, that's the kind of bit where you're getting your mood boards together and you're having a look at the different colours and the patterns and the textures and how you want the house to feel. I think that's the key thing. Do you think that sort of your training in law and sort of managing your caseload, do you think those skills are just so easily transferable to the project management that you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, the area of law that I worked in as well, whilst it was commercial property, it was like quite a niche part of commercial property, and it involved some project management. So I feel like I am a very organised person anyway. Like I thrive on organisation, and if things aren't organised, my head goes haywire. Yeah. Um, I do everything. Anything like I used to when I was at uni, I would write my notes and rewrite them and rewrite them. And they used to say at uni, "You're wasting your time doing that." And I used to think, this is just the way I do it. Like I'm not naturally super intelligent. I am a grafter. Like I have to do things over and over again, and that's how I get to the end result. Um, so yes, I think I probably went into my paralegal role already being pretty organised. Like, if you're a mum of when I started my law degree, I think my youngest would have been like only a few months old. So everyone thought I was mad, which I probably was. But you can't do that without being organised and juggling loads of things.
And there is something about the unknown and about the chaos. It makes us feel alive.
I like a certain level of stress to function, like, definitely. And my mind is always going. Um, but I think there's different kinds of stress. So there's like a productive level of stress, which helps you get things done and it drives you. And then there's like a level of stress where it just knocks you. And that's what I was feeling before. But I also think I probably never stuck to all of the other jobs because I might have been challenged, like in my last job, I was challenged mentally. And my brain, like sometimes I'd just reread the same sentence over and over again and it just wouldn't go in. And that was stress. Uh, but I feel like now I'm challenged in a totally different way. Like now I'm challenged because I'm juggling so many different things. Project wise, it's never just, oh, I'm just focusing on this project because we've got other buy to let properties. You know, there's the landlord side of it as well, where you're dealing with tenants.
There is that kind of balancing act, isn't there? And wearing different hats. And you call yourself the jack of all trades, and that really resonates with me as well. In the same way, I've done lots of different things, and I can be proficient in all of those different things as well because I have the ability to bullshit my way through life. It's got me places.
You know what I find really ironic though, is I am a jack of all trades because I've never stuck at anything long enough to become a master of it. I actually hate the bullshit. I hate it. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm very much like a detail driven person. So I did I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's this thing called insights discovery, where basically you find out what colours make up your personality and your communication styles. Yeah, and was very much, oh, it's amazing, but mine was very much cool blue energy, which is all to do with detail. Like, doesn't like being bullshitted, basically, and also doesn't like bullshitting my way through. Let's keep all of this out, but I hate it. I can't bear it, and so I like to know my stuff, and I think that's why I get like a bit of imposter syndrome because I'm like, well, I'm not a joiner, I'm not an interior designer, I'm not any of these things, but we have as a couple been dabbling in this for 10 plus years, and that actually probably is the first time where I've had that amount of experience over that prolonged period of time. And I think I feel more comfortable in a way in doing this than I ever felt in a law firm or.
But do you think that's because this is the right path?
Maybe. And maybe I don't know that because I've never been on it. before. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just feels right, and I don't know whether it's right for me or it's right for now, but it
Yeah.
certainly feels right for now.
And that I think that's what we have to kind of lean into. Like, you've talked a little bit about, being authentic to ourselves and our skill set and kind of aligning all of those things, all of those experiences,
Yeah,
into the work that we're doing.
yeah,
And I think when you are on the right path, you just know it. You just know that you are. It lights you up. It there is that level of stress, but it's not something that kind of drains you. If anything, it refuels you.
every day is different. Every day is different. Um, so, and I think probably one of my biggest worries when I left the law firm was that I wouldn't see my colleagues every day. I didn't have that team around me. Um, because whilst I like my own company, I am quite a social person. Um, and I and my husband said to me as well, he was like, I worry that you're gonna really miss that, the social side of it. But actually, I really like it because I feel like I go from like one thing to another, and it's people that I mean, you have conversations that you just would never have. Like the people from all different walks of life and the different workers and stuff. And also, I'm not afraid to say to them, like, I haven't got a clue what you're doing. Do you mind telling me what you're doing? Like, I'm actually really interested. No, I'm not going to qualify as a plumber or an electrician, but I'd like to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think sometimes people like that.
That you're invested in what they're doing, and again, it's about building those relationships, isn't it? And it sounds to me like you have, a great drive to always evolve.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You're never happy just staying the same. You want to keep growing and developing your skills and your experience, and yeah, evolving and transforming, transitioning, moving forward.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said as well for being a woman in quite a male dominated field. I find that really interesting as well because I'm like, I, I don't want to say I'm a feminist because there's probably a lot of my views that are more traditional and not very feminist. They probably don't fall into line with that. But I feel like it's quite empowering being like, I'm the boss of some of these people. Like I'm like saying, right, yeah, that's great. And sometimes it's easier being like that as well. Like, I don't know, the dynamic is just very, very different. Um, I'm just not sure I'm employable. Maybe that's the problem. I'm just not employable. I'm just, I think as well, like we were saying about being authentic and like being honest and stuff. A lot of employers don't like that. They want someone who will sit there, yes, no, sir, toe the line, not complain about it, and just get on with it. But if I see injustice in something or I think something's not right, I'm going to say it. And I feel like there's no pretense in what I'm doing now. Like when you're working with tradespeople, they go in, they do the job, they move on to the next job. That's what they do. And I think there's no pretense in that. And so if I go in and something, I mean, luckily we've got great people around us, but like if I go in and there's something not right, I'm all right with saying, well, what's that? Why have you done that? That's not right, is it? Like, let's chat about it. What's the problem? I like that.
The stress of doing up a house is very different to, managing those caseloads. And also, you're in control as well. And I think that's really important in your
Yeah.
creative work.
Well, yeah, and I think while ever you work for someone else, you're never in control, really. There's less worry, I suppose, in a sense that if you're employed, you know, in most jobs, you're gonna be employed and you can rely on that income. That's a big thing for a lot of people. Um, and, we're no different really. If anything, it's probably more stressful in a way because I do all of this stuff, but I also still work for my husband's property practice. So I'm trying to do all these different things all at once, and that's quite hard. But also, both of our we rely solely on that as our core income. So that can be quite stressful. And I do feel bad for him sometimes in that, because I know that as much as he has done his job for a long time, he likes his job most of the time. I know there's things he doesn't like about his job. And I know that, if he was really honest with himself, would he prefer to be doing what I'm doing full time and we really scale it? Yeah, 100%. But we're not in that position at the moment to be able to do that. So yeah, I think the control thing is a big thing though. I think sometimes, when you're dealing with a project though, and like new things arise, problems which are not seen, that can make you feel very out of control. And you can get to a point where, well, basically, unless I chuck money at that, but what if the money isn't there? There's not this endless pit of money.
So you've got 2 projects at the moment.
We've never done 2 at once before. So that's big pressure at the moment.
That is big pressure, yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, whilst ever you've got properties that are empty, you're not only spending the money to do them up, but you've got the mortgage costs, you've got council tax, utilities. So all of those things stack up and there's no income coming in to counteract them. So that is stressful, very stressful.
But like you said before, it's like how you navigate that unknown and those pressures, and being able to sort of be the jack of all trades in some ways, and find your way through all of that. You're only going to get to that point where you've gone through all of those experiences and you learn along the way. I mean, you've been doing it for 10 plus years. So, if you look back to when you first started doing this to where you are now, I mean, the amount of experience and people that you've met along the way and all the skills that you've learned you must be proud.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not really that kind of person. Like, I'm not really like when I finished my law degree, I was just buzzing to finish it. Like, it wasn't really, I never really took a breath to go, like, obviously I'm proud that I've achieved it because it's something that I've wanted to achieve. So I'm just really happy that I achieved it. But I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, I'm so proud of myself. Like, no, I think it's more, I probably have more pride in the juggle of doing that. It's more like the surrounding. So I'm proud. I'm proud of. I'm glad I've got it, and I'm really pleased I've got it. But I'm more proud of probably the surrounding factors and how me and Frankie had to work as a team for me to achieve that. Like, because it shows, for me, it's like strength in our marriage that we were able to do that together, strength in character that I just, every weekend, like so many evenings, I just had to knuckle down and get on with it and do it. And that's very similar to what we've done the last 10 years together as a side hustle doing the property stuff. We've not had, we've always had to be doing stuff at weekends. We've always had to be doing stuff in the evenings. And that's hard. That's really hard. But I also think it can be quite, what's the word? You have to try and break that habit at some point because it can be, it's not good for you to have downtime. And we're at the stage now where we're saying like, we want to have downtime. It'll be the first time, hopefully this year, if Project 2 is done, that we'll actually get a summer. Because we've always been mid-project in a summer. And we've never really been able to just be like, you know what, everything's taking care of itself. Let's go on holiday for a couple of weeks, chill out. It's either been in the middle of a project or I've been studying and I've been in a pool abroad revising. Like, that's always just what we've been doing. So but you can get into a cycle definitely of that being the norm and never having time to just chill.
It's interesting because I was chatting to another guest of mine, Camille, and she was saying that she, very similarly, she doesn't ever really look back on the things that she's achieved. She always is on to the next thing.
What was her job?
She's an engineer. She's a chartered engineer.
I heard it.
Very, very logical, sort of working again in a very male-dominated industry, but absolutely obsessed with dance and choreography. And she's, creating videos and, she's reaching out to into the music industry and seeing if she can get the music that she's going to dance to and all that sort of stuff. But she was very much about not looking back, always looking on to the next thing. And she doesn't really pat herself on the back and say, yeah, well done. And she was talking about the juggle and the process. And it's just interesting, isn't it? Like, what is it about surviving the process that we kind of not glorify, but it's in the survival that we're the most proud of rather than the end product or the thing that we've achieved. I'm wondering if that's like a childhood thing. I'm wondering if that's like a woman thing. I don't.
It's like, so when with both of my kids, I had I only had gas and air. And with my youngest, she was a home birth as well. And I probably have more pride in that I'm such a wimp as well. Like I'm needle phobic and I'm not good with anything medical. But like my it sounds awful, but when people are like, "Oh, you're so proud you've got your babies," I'm like, "No, I'm proud that I had a drug-free birth." Like, I'm really proud. Not for my kids, I'm very proud of them as well. But I'm so proud that I pushed through and did that because that makes me feel really empowered that I did that. And that's not to say anything about, get through birth however you get through it. Like, seriously, that shit is hard. Just do what you need to do. But I just felt like I felt really strongly about, no, I want to try and do this without needing anything. And God, whatever intervention you need, just have it. Like, and I say to people all the time, I'm like, just have the drugs, have the drugs. Like, it really hurts. But but equally, like, that is something that I'm like, yeah, I'm buzzing for myself that I managed to do that.
Have you always been like that, or when you were a child, did you feel empowered, strong, in control, or were you the opposite?
No, probably not. Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. So
are you trying to prove? I've really got off piste here now. You're kind of showing your kind of that your younger self
that I can do it. Yeah.
that you can do it because you didn't feel like you could when you were much younger.
Oh, 100%.
It's really interesting, isn't it?
I think so. And I think it's if you feel like you've got something to prove all the time, I think that's why, like, even though I'm not proud of the fact that I've done loads of different jobs, because I would love to be able to be one of those people who can get really stuck in and become a master of something. I'd love to be that person, but I'm just not. But what I do take great pride in is whatever job I do, I want to do it well. And I might not be a master of it, but I will always apply myself 100% and do the best that I can possibly do. And I think the only problem with that sometimes is that your best is never quite good enough if you're a perfectionist. And yeah, that's hard. That's hard because you sometimes you need. Someone said to me a really clever thing. They said sometimes good enough is okay. Like, good enough is all right. Everything doesn't need to be perfect. And I actually think, so at the moment we live in a house that's a project house. So we moved from a house that was completely done to a house that needs everything doing to it. And it's going to be a long process. We're going to do it over a few years. But I actually think that's really helped me because.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I find it actually quite therapeutic being in a house that isn't pristine, which
Oh gosh.
which is really unusual because I'm not like that at all. Like, if there's mess and stuff, I find it really stressful.
I find it so stressful.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it really is. Like, the first thing I do in the morning, once I've either taken the kids to school or Frank's taken them and they've gone, is I get the puppy, because we've now got a puppy, that's more stress. Put him outside and I tidy everywhere and clean up what I need to do. And I find that clears my mind and then I'm ready to, like, set myself up for the day. But what I think moving here has done is it's made me, I've had no choice but to care a bit less about the marks on the floor or pots on the side because it doesn't look perfect and it's not going to look perfect because it's a renovation project. So it's almost good for me because it means it can't be perfect.
I cannot stand mess anywhere. because it doesn't do me any good mentally. And so I clean the kitchen, I put things away, but then I go out into the hallway and I've got pink walls and I've got scuffs everywhere and I've got boxes now back from the garage into the house because we're having a heat pump installed next week. So everything's come into the house. It's dusty. And I'm like, what's the point of me hoovering this red carpet? Because it looks shite. So I may as well just.
But when you've got kids, nothing can be. And I'm actually quite conscious of that because I feel like my youngest, who you know, she is picked up a lot. My eldest, unfortunately, I wish she'd picked up on it just a little bit, would be nice. But my youngest has picked up on that quite a lot. So, like, before she goes to bed at night, she'll rearrange her bedside table. And I'm like, baby, you don't have to do that. And she's like, no, I want to, Mummy. I just want it to be neat. And I'm like,
Oh,
I don't want to give you a complex though. Like,
yeah. I mean, if you want to tidy, great.
yeah. But please don't make it so you can't go to sleep unless you've told.
I know, until that's done. Yeah.
Which is a bit like I am. So I feel like that's yeah, I should probably be careful of that. But I think I know exactly what you mean. And that's why, you know, a couple of weeks ago, it literally took us a week to do my bedroom, just a temporary quick fix to it. Because I came home from one of the rentals and it was a shithole. And I looked around. That was the one, I don't know when you saw it, where there was lino on the wall.
I saw. Oh.
So I came home from there and I thought, you know what? This is pissing me off. I lie in my bed every night and I look at this shit 1970s wallpaper. And why am I looking at that when I'm slaving my arse off to go and sort their house that they've shitted up? Like, I'm fed up with it. So I basically just got a scraper and started ripping the wallpaper off. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And I feel so much better. Like, because my house and my home and my bedroom is my sanctuary. That is where I want to go to feel calm. So I 100% agree and know how you feel.
When you're kind of pulling together designs, how do you start? Like, basically you've done all of the sort of the intense labor bit. So you've got the plumber in, the joiner, that you've got the canvas ready, so to speak. Where do you go next? Like, what do you start pulling together and how do you do it and the process?
I try and think about it quite early on because I know now that things come together very quickly and all of a sudden it's like, Emily, I need this. Emily, I need a light fitting. Emily, I need plug sockets. I found that in project one in particular before, because once you've got people in to help you bring things together quicker, it comes together quicker. It's not just you doing it. As previously, it's been mainly me and my husband have done a lot of the work ourselves with the help of family and stuff too. Whereas, you know, when you're really making it into a business, you need to, time is money basically. So it's cheaper in the long run to get people in to come and do stuff and get it done quickly so you can either sell it or rent it. So things happen a lot quicker now. So I don't have the luxury of time to just be like, oh, I'm going to scroll Pinterest today and I might pop to Dunelm and then go to wherever else. I don't really have a lot of that. So I try and start thinking of it, what feels like really prematurely and really early on. I'm quite instinctive, like we were saying earlier, like I will go in somewhere and I'll think, right, well, that will look nice and that will look nice. And I've got my own style, but I think I use Pinterest loads. Like I love Pinterest. Instagram, dead helpful. I'm constantly screenshotting or saving things on Instagram and then just like getting it on my photos and quickly editing it to write a note on it of what it was I liked about that picture to remember. And then I create files on my iPhone as well for like each project and I save things in there so I can kind of look back on it. But I'm quite instinctive really. I'd love to, it's probably the one thing I am very organised in general in my life, but I feel like where that's concerned, I'm quite like, yeah, just do that. That'll look really good. Like, I like that. Or I was sending pictures of paneling and mouldings to one of the guys on site last week. And he was like, well, do you want to come with me to pick the beading? And I was like, no, it's fine. I was like, just something like that. Like, I'm not
Precious.
about it, but then it's not my home. I think if I was doing that, and I think that's another thing, like doing my daughter's room and that we've just recently completed.
The
Doing
garden
our
room.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I love it. But I wasn't really precious about, I was like, I like that colour, I like that colour, let's do that. I wasn't precious about it because I think I'm thinking that's temporary, because when we renovate everywhere, that part of the house will become the kitchen diner. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, just go for it. Let's just do it. And there's something really freeing in that. And I've never really had that before. So I think ordinarily I'd feel really like a lot of pressure. Uh, and I'm sure when it comes to actually making the final decisions of what we're going to do at home, it'll be a totally different story. But when it's not my home and it's temporary, those two things which I'm experiencing at the moment through either projects or at home, it's great. It's lovely.
Have you learnt any sort of specific skill? I saw that you were using the circular saw the other day.
I probably haven't learned particular skills, but I've learned processes of how to do certain things. So whilst I couldn't build a stud wall on my own now, I know what you need to do that. And I know the order of how to do it. And even things like when things happen when you're doing a project. So whether it's like the first fix plumbing comes at this point and then the first fix electrics come at this point. I feel like you can't really say, oh yeah, I know how that works now, because every project will be slightly different depending on, what the build is, what needs doing and things like that. But I feel like I've got some idea of it, which I didn't have before because I didn't get involved in that part of it really. I did more like the landlord and tenant stuff, and, if there was some design choices, I'd jump in at that bit, or painting, like that. So that's quite nice. Like, I've learned, I know how to build a stud wall. You can't get me to do one. I can't do it, but I'd have an idea. So more of an idea than I did, 5 months ago.
Just think of where you're going to be in the next 6 months.
Yeah. Hopefully on holiday. There has been a lot in 5 months that I feel like I've learned. And I also have like a new, well, I think one thing about having different jobs as well is you have an appreciation and a respect for different people in all different fields. And I feel like I have a newfound respect that I've very much respected them before, but a newfound respect for like tradesmen who are constantly doing physical labourers. That you've got a lot of them who it's just assumed that they do a lot of hard graft. But on top of that, there's a huge amount of skill. And like the guys we have working on site at the moment, they can do everything. Like they might not be able to sign off on certain things and stuff, but they can literally do everything. Like if you say, can you sort this? Yeah, of course I can. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like what an incredible skill set to have, that you can literally turn your hand to anything, and I love learning from them because they know all of those things. I mean, sometimes they look at me when I'm like, well, I might just give that a bash. They're like, okay, but how long will it take you to do that? I mean, I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, yeah, okay, we need it done by next week. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you do it then.
You're a go-getter. You're not going to let anything stop you. You're willing to learn and take on all of these different challenges. And because of that, like I genuinely think this is just going to keep growing and growing, and you're going to have your little empire, I think, in no time.
I'm always trying to think of like, well, what can we do next? And what can we do next? And sometimes my husband gets frustrated with me. So he's like, let's just focus on the here and now. He is very much like me as well, but his mind changes like the wind. So one minute he'll be going, let's do this. And then I'm like, whoa, chill out. And then the next minute he'll be going, right, we need to calm down. Let's not do anything for a while. And then we kind of take it in turns like that. But there are loads of different things that I would love to do. Like there's always going to be a ceiling on what you can do with your own business based on money. Like that's always going to be a ceiling. So, I suppose the fun comes if then you start doing it for other people. Like that's really fun, because that's like someone else can come to you and say, well, I've got a budget of this. Can you help me do this? I would, that's not necessarily the plan at the moment, but there's so many other things you can do with property. It's such a broad spectrum. Like there's Airbnbs, like, you just all sorts of things.
It sounds like you're very visual. Did you make things when you were a child?
I've always been fairly arty, and like I did GCSE art, and I did art, the equivalent of A-levels, because I lived in Australia at the time, and I did the Queensland equivalent of A-levels. But what I really struggled with doing it for GCSE and then a bit beyond was that someone told me when I had to be artistic, and I struggled with that because I feel artistic when I want to feel artistic, and also right now we're doing about this, and this is the art we're studying, and this is what you're recreating. I found that pretty difficult because that wasn't how I felt being creative. And so I feel very much like creativity is based on like your mood and where you are at that point in your life. And so for someone to kind of tell you do this, that felt a bit wrong to me. And I get why it's a qualification, you've got to follow a syllabus and stuff. But yeah, that I think I was creative, but not, you come across these kids who are really creative, like from a really young age. I don't think I was ever that. I think I just kind of probably dabbled in it, and I enjoyed more things like English and stuff like that. So creative from a words point of view than necessarily putting pen to paper.
Are the girls creative?
Yeah, they love drawing and
Do
things
they?
like that. Yeah, they do love drawing, and things like clothes. Like they're very much, well, I want to wear this, and I want to do more that side of things. Also, they will look at. It's quite interesting when they pay an interest in property and stuff. That's quite interesting. So like at the moment, my eldest will be like, "Mummy, that's a semi-detached and that's a detached," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Well done." And I was like, "And what's that?" And she's like, "That's a bungalow." And I went, "Okay, I'm going to throw a really difficult one in here." I was like, "What's that?" And she's like, "That's a terraced house." I'm like, "Yes." So they do pay an interest in what I am doing.
Yeah.
And they love hearing about, because my youngest her room is going to be the next project at home, and they're like, "Oh, so what are you going to do, Mummy?"
And they trust you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're looking at you and going, "Oh, look what my mum's doing."
I think they get a bit confused because what my eldest said to me the other day, she was like, "So what do you do now, Mummy? You're not at uni anymore. You're not doing that. And do you still work with Daddy?" Yeah, I still work with Daddy as well.
Oh, I love that. Do you feel like you are living a creative life?
Yeah, I do. And I feel like I just didn't have time to be creative before. And now it feels really nice to have. It feels like a luxury. I feel really lucky. Really, really lucky.
Is creativity a luxury or a necessity?
I think it is a necessity, and people should be able to engage with being creative. But I think for a lot of people it is a luxury, which is quite sad.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, then please do take a moment to leave us a review and rate the show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel for more updates and behind the scenes content. See you in the next episode. Stay wild.